evening. Welcome to this week's edition of The Next Word. I'm your host tonight, Chris Warnke, and we're going to have a discussion about reducing the carbon footprint, both here in this country as well as abroad, and specifically in Denmark. We have two really special guests, the Trade Counselor of the Embassy of Denmark, Mr. Ulrik Eversbusch, and Mr. Bryan Wingfield, who is the CEO of Miltech, a company now located in Ashburn, Virginia. Welcome to both of you, and to my Danish friend, Tak, which is thank you, right?
That's right.
I learned that the last 30 minutes, yes. I've been to your wonderful country, and I must say I'm really impressed with what your country has done in terms of its green initiatives. Of course, I know it started over, 40 years ago. The country started making strides and made decisions, and tough decisions, about what happened with its energy crisis as what we faced here in this country back in the 70s. So let's talk a little bit about that. Tell me the background and what the leaders decided at that time back in the 70s when you were facing an energy crisis, the fact that you did depend so much on outside energy resources for your energy. So
yes, and thank you very much for having me here today.
Oh, you are welcome.
It's a pleasure. As you mentioned, going back to the 70s, the energy crisis, which happened in most places of the world.
Right.
Denmark at that point of time was 99% dependent on fossil fuels, on energy from outside, and today Denmark is actually a net exporter of energy. So what happened in the 70s was, of course, being so dependent on energy from outside. We decided, or Denmark said, never again. It hurt our economy really bad, being so dependent. So initiatives were taken at that point of time to simply say we need to be much more independent on energy from abroad. And to be more specific, what happened was that the Danish government said that we keep energy prices at a high level and forcing the society and not the least businesses to seek for alternatives. And by doing so, we created an industry of companies that excelled in energy efficiency technologies and renewable energy. So that oil crisis created a whole new business.
New opportunities, right.
New opportunities for the businesses in Denmark.
And your role, of course, as trade counselor is to promote. And you've all done an amazing job as an embassy, I must say. Your commercial staff is really remarkable, and you have a number of great success stories, of course, abroad, but also here in this country, as we have with Bryan and your company in Ashburn, which you located. It's now national headquarters for this country that you just, but back in February of this year, correct? And
back in February.
A waste recycling company called Mil-tek.
That's right, Miltech USA.
Miltech USA, which
this is our 28th country. We stem from Denmark. Slightly humbler beginnings. Our owner is a guy who used to run a supermarket, and in the early 1990s decided it was time to find a better way to manage his waste. And whilst he wanted to utilize compressed air rather than hydraulics, he decided to build one himself. And I guess they say the rest is history. We went throughout Europe, down to the Pacific, into the Middle East, and came here to the US this year in February.
Wow! So, and right now you have an employee base of about 20.
Yeah,
but you're
20 to
global.
25.
You're a global company.
Yeah, just in the US we're about 25, but we're pleased to say that we expect that to rise to around about 1,000 in the next 4 years in a difficult economic climate. That we're proud to say that we can do that. So we also anticipate that we'll start assembling and manufacturing here within 4 years.
Oh, that's terrific.
And that gives us the opportunity to then also to export to South America and Canada.
That's terrific. Okay. And you had the great honor of having His Royal Highness come visit from Denmark back in June. And
we did
that's
indeed.
Really
well, we were
really
really pleased.
And,
yeah, absolutely. We're very proud of that. Unfortunately, he's not my prince. I'm from England, as you can
Just
probably
like I
tell
said,
from
yes,
my
yes, we
accent.
love
But
your accent.
no, it was wonderful, and the embassy
Yes.
were extremely helpful in helping arrange that, and it was a wonderful day. And of course, we maximised the potential from that. And it was just great that we were recognised, and certainly for Christian to be recognised as a technology leader, and taking the brave steps to come here. But we're very excited to be here.
Right, and I know that's part of your portfolio, promoting these kinds of companies like Miltech, and you've been here for 3 years here in Washington, but I know you've had a long history of promoting different technologies in other parts, in other roles that you've played in other, throughout the world. Like I know you were in India.
Yes.
Correct. And you were a team leader also in your own country within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yes.
I know you have an MBA background too, and I think it's fascinating that you chose, of course, diplomacy and business, and that's what it's all about. I mean, promoting companies. So.
Yes, exactly, and I think what makes energy efficiency so especially interesting is that, as we normally say at the embassy, that it has a dual purpose. It's good for business, and at the same time, it supports Denmark's ambitions climate-wise.
Right.
And since we have a lot of technologies that actually are able to reduce emissions and make things more efficient and save costs, it's a very good story to tell.
Great story.
And I think one of our prime objectives and at the embassy is to do exactly that. Not only to promote a specific business, but to tell a story that can put things into a broader perspective.
And you really do promote both here and, of course, back in Denmark, but also not just back in Denmark, your embassies around the world. I mean, you're greening everywhere. You're certainly, putting your money where your, as they say, where your mouth is. I mean, you're putting yourself out there in terms of being the green promoter. I know in Belgrade, your embassy in Belgrade is certainly, I think, something that you all should be proud of. I know it's something that you focused on. Can you touch upon any of the other embassies or that you've worked on, or?
I think it's fair to say that that by using the embassy as a platform, and which we do globally, it's an easy way to bring forward a statement that can be delivered at a low cost, so to speak.
Right.
We also have to look at this from other perspectives.
Oh, absolutely.
And by showcasing our technologies through the embassies make a lot of sense. And there are, of course, many ways of doing that. And the initiative that we have right now, our objective or plan is to have a carbon neutral embassy
Right.
within a few years,
Right.
and inviting Danish businesses to be a part of that and provide the technology that makes this possible. So on one hand, again, we have a good story to tell, but the most important fact being part of this story is that the technology that makes this possible is also from Denmark. And I know that Miltech is also going to be a part of that project,
Right.
so it goes very well hand in hand.
I know you really do work hand in hand with all the companies that not only are in Denmark that come here, and vice versa. And I know, Bryan, with your company, you've done some very exciting things in the last even 8 months. Really having your footprint in Virginia, but not just Virginia. I mean, you're in 4 states already.
That's
Talk
right.
about a little bit about. I want to hear about a little bit about your future plans here.
Sure.
You're already making
Well,
great strides.
we have, and we've started locally and worked around us. So we now have coverage in Virginia, right here in Maryland, and DC, and also in Delaware. But I should also say that we are looking for exclusive distributors to run their own business and work in the Miltech way, offering local fast services to our customers. And without being using this as a shameless plug, I should also say that
That's okay.
to come and find out about what we do, and on our website, miltekusa.com, we are looking for exclusive distributors to spread the word throughout the whole of the US.
We have some viewers here watching that can maybe
Please get in touch. Yeah.
get in touch. But Miltech, the word it's somewhat.
Well, Ulrich, you're going to have to help me here, because it's actually it's an abbreviation of two Danish words, which basically mean environment and technology.
Oh,
so
it
kind of Envirotech.
So Mil means environment,
No, actually, it's milieu.
Milieu.
It's environment, and technology is technology.
Okay.
So Envirotech would be the shortened version.
The short version.
Technology,
okay.
Yeah.
And
the technology really comes on our niche really. Is that we use air, we use compressed air.
Right, and we talked about this, and specifically your other niche, you're focused on small businesses.
Small footprint machines.
Footprint machines, right.
And that opens up the world of baling to a whole new raft of businesses. So you would look at franchise restaurants, hotels and bars, small premises facilities. Typically 60% of the waste stream in businesses like that is packaging, and we can offer a very simple way of recycling that, and by doing that, reducing their waste costs and improving their logistics internally.
But Bryan, let me ask you, going back, in terms of the rates here, the recycling rates here, in terms of paper, just take paper alone, we've done pretty well in this country. I thought that we've done very well in terms of recycling our newspapers and our cardboards. In fact, I saw a pretty high figure of 74%.
That's impressive. That's very good, and that's right up there with European counterparts.
Is it?
Absolutely.
But that's in paper.
It is, and there are a number of materials, obviously, that make up the world of recycling. And I think on average in the US of municipal solid waste, it's around about 34%. Some states have recycling targets, and they do very well. Some states don't, and they may be as low as 5%. Right. So there's some work to be done, and we see this as a great opportunity for our future customers to increase their own recycling, and therefore the recycling in their state.
Especially I think in very densely urban centers. And I was with a mayor today, in fact, of a very dense city in New Jersey, and we were talking about your technology. And I was saying, truly, it could be very helpful, because it's a city of small businesses, it's a city of smaller restaurants.
That's right. Space is a premium.
Space is a premium.
And businesses want to use as much of their space as they can for retail, whether that be in a restaurant environment or a retail environment. So by compacting all their waste, we can save them some space and save them some time.
Which is terrific. And when we come back, I want to talk to you more about, about what it actually, what it looks like, and what the actual apparatus of it, because I want to hear more about how you will go into the small business, because this is fascinating to me. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back.
Okay.
You're watching Channel 16, The Next Word. I'm Chris Warnke, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching The Next Word. Tonight, we have two guests to talk about the fact that waste is really a resource. So we have Mr. Eversbush from the Embassy of Denmark. Thank you for back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And Mr. Bryan Wingfield with Miltech, a company in Ashburn, Virginia. So waste is really a resource. And it truly is. It truly is. And we talk about that and what your company is doing to make it a resource.
Well, it's really about capturing the waste stream and segregating what is really waste and trash from what is actually a commodity. So if we take packaging, cardboard, paper, plastic, tins and cans, they actually have a value. So by segregating them, taking them out of your waste stream, and in most cases compacting them so that they are easy to transport, you can realize the revenue and the value of those products. Recyclers will pay average rates for all of these materials, which can turn a waste cost into a revenue.
Absolutely. We've been really recycling all of our paper products. I mean, really, we've taken it to such a whole new level in this country.
And this can be followed through with many other materials. It's finding the infrastructure and the businesses to help do this, and I guess that's what we're here to try and to help with.
Well, what do you think would be the next big product line that would be the most?
Well, actually, I think plastic bottles. We all drink water, Coke, or whatever out of plastic bottles, which generally end up in the trash.
Right.
But it's strong plastic. It has a value, and I think we need to capture much more of that.
Absolutely.
And I think by capturing 15% of the PET bottles that are used in the US, most businesses will see a huge savings in their waste costs.
Right. And going back to Denmark, and I must say kudos to the government. It's only 40 years ago, but even today, you've made some really good business decisions. And in terms of your policy, in terms of your energy dependency, talk a little bit about how you see the next 10 years and why
Sure.
this was so important, and what that decision did for the country.
Sure.
And for the people.
And maybe just to take one step back
Right.
and say, why do we want to continue on this path?
Right.
And since we've kept the energy prices as high as we have, which has really been one of the major factors
Right.
for creating this industry around energy efficiency and renewable energy, waste handling, etc., is that it actually makes sense in economic terms. During the last 30 years, Denmark has enjoyed the same economic growth as we see in other developed Western countries, but at the same time, our energy consumption has hardly increased.
Which is amazing.
You can actually argue that it is possible to decouple those two areas from each other, which is one of the main arguments at the moment to say that by pushing or putting more restrictions on the area of energy will hurt the economy. And we in Denmark can say that has not been the case for us.
Right.
So it actually makes a lot of sense. So looking into the future, as mentioned before, we want to continue on this path, and our ambition is to be completely fossil fuel free in the year 2050. And
2015?
50.
Okay, 50. Okay.
It requires a long transition period, and that has also been one of the advantages in Denmark, that we've had this long transition period, because that enables industry to work much closer with the government on finding the solutions, so that they are not met with these strict demands energy-wise from day to day. And I was maybe just to give 4 very good reasons, as we see it in Denmark, for continuing on this path, is that we all know the fossil fuels, oil, etc., comes from very volatile regions. By becoming independent, we are in a much more positive situation than other countries, perhaps. And number 2, the prices are undoubtedly going to go up. We're going to see an increase in energy demand based on increase in population, which is going to happen worldwide. So that's going to hurt the economy, and it's very unpredictable, the energy prices, especially oil prices. Number 3, it makes sense from a climate point of view and from a sustainability point of view. And number 4, as we can see with Miltech, it also makes sense business-wise. So in Denmark, we say that sustainability pays in terms of also bottom line.
Well, it does, and not just certainly you have a success story in this country through the Miltechs of the world, but also you're going very much abroad. I mean, you're going into other countries that I know of, and making an impression and putting your footprint there as well. Can you touch on those at all? Because I know you were in India. Of course, in your experience in India are much different than they are here, but can you touch at all about in terms of what you all been doing in other countries, whether it's South America or Africa or
I think it's
the Middle East or Asia?
in broadly terms, it's pretty much one of our main focus areas as a country abroad, promoting this particular area, both from a policy point of view, but also from a business point of view. And by having these 2 areas work together, we actually have a very good story, and the potential is enormous. Looking at the challenges that especially many of the emerging markets are facing by with the increase of economy, which will of course have to be followed by an increase in energy consumption, and how do you control that and make that sustainable?
Right.
And we have a lot of the solutions.
Well, we'd love to import more technology. And let me ask you, in terms of partnerships from the U.S. side, if people are interested, if companies are interested here, can they get in touch with you? Can they, I mean, in terms of trying to see how they could partner? Let's say with a Miltech, of course, you're here now already, but there are folks, I'm sure there are people that would be interested in coming to your embassy, talking to you all. I mean, is that something that...
Of course, always, but we try to be very very ambitious in also going out to the different states. We know that, of course, a big part of the policy is being done here in Washington.
Right.
But the real push is happening in the individual states, and by initiating the dialogue locally, we think has a much bigger impact.
And locally, of course, being here in Montgomery County, there might
also
be some viewers here that could...
Exactly.
Right. That would be terrific. I know the embassy. If people want to get in touch with you, you know, can they come to the embassy site and you're of course the trade counselor, I know, and call your office?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we are always open to.
And you all are.
inquiries.
You really all are. You do a lot of conferences. I know you have one coming up, the Retech. Well, that's not just yours, or you're participating in it. But a little bit.
Yes.
Talk a little about the Retech conference coming up.
The Retech conference in next week in Washington. We have a Danish energy.
Presence, right? Energy.
A Danish presence at the Retech. We have an energy delegation coming over, which is...
Oh, you do?
Yes, and that's in cooperation with actually the American Embassy in Denmark and the Confederation of Danish Industry.
And what are they? What kind of companies are they? All energy renewable?
That is both renewable energy, but mostly energy efficiency, a green build, etc.
So that's going to be, and that's next week. I know that.
That's next
and
week.
you'll be participating, right? I'm assuming.
We will be along there as well. Yes.
Yes, Bryan, because I mean, you have a great story to tell.
We do. One of the points I wanted to touch on as well is it goes along with the CO2 reduction is reducing transport. Transport costs are just ever increasing with fuel costs.
Absolutely, yes.
And it's a win-win situation, not just for the customer, for the environment, but also for the waste haulers and the recyclers. They can realise the same amount of material, but at lower fuel costs, and it's definitely a win-win situation.
Oh, no, absolutely. And going back to something you mentioned earlier, because going into some of these franchise, whether they're franchise businesses, especially fast food businesses,
right,
where the workers are taking waste out pretty frequently.
Absolutely.
And we talk a little bit about the safety issue, which is a big issue right now in this.
Well, it is.
Especially in very urban centers where you have crime. Crime rates are significantly higher lately. And can we talk a little bit about how
Sure. We've seen the impact of that perhaps in the US more than we have other countries so far, in that, of course, taking waste outside of the premises up to 10 times a day, because many of these restaurants are 24/7, very busy,
right,
very successful businesses. But taking that waste out has its own challenges. I mean, for insurance and safety reasons, generally people don't go out the back door of their business after 6 p.m. at night. So that means there's a build-up of waste,
right,
odours, and a nuisance to work around. But by compacting that waste, very small, simple solution, we can eradicate the need to go outside the building after 6 p.m. at night. Who wants to be taking waste out at 2 a.m. in the morning?
Exactly.
So we can improve safety, safety of staff, and also even shrinkage, which is a problem for many businesses.
Well, can you describe though how that would be done, the technology itself, and you mentioned a hose, and you would hook it up to.
So basically, the machines are powered by compressed air. So
how big are they?
The footprint of our machines starts at no bigger than a fridge or a filing cabinet. So most businesses can find room for those. If there's an existing compressed air line, it is very basically a simple hose that connects to the machine. The machine actually has no electrical parts. Additionally, that means they can go outside. They can also go into kitchen areas. So extremely flexible solution, and ideal for the fast food, franchise restaurants, but also small retailers.
So what happens though once they collect this waste, once it's compacted? Can it then be sold on market? I mean, as we just said before, waste should be seen as a resource, as something then to resell. I mean, what happens then at that point?
Well,
because it makes sense from a business standpoint if you are.
Well, it does. That's when the recyclers get involved. So, or indeed the waste haulers get involved. They now, for sustainable reasons, no longer rely on their income being from landfill. They now realise that they're collecting a commodity every day from their businesses and their customers. So by collecting segregated and baled cardboard, plastic and other materials, they now have the opportunity to sell that to direct-to-paper mills or to businesses who use recycled product to create other manufacturing opportunities.
Okay, I would think so. Yeah, so this is it's a good business decision.
It's a great business, and it's a great model, and as I say, it's very much a win-win situation.
Well, we should put you out there in the
please do
in the market. Please do. And again, but it's www.miltech
USA.com.
No, it's fascinating. I mean, you really should take it out. Especially, I could see there's a great growth in the urban,
Sure.
and the small urban centers as well as the large urban centers, but some of the smaller ones as well.
Well, people's view of a baler, I guess, traditionally is a big
baler,
machine
right.
sitting in a warehouse or a manufacturing plant, or even a large retailer making a lot of noise. And of course, we make large machines too. There is a market for large volumes of plastic, cardboard, and that really is where revenue can be realised.
So it's a plastic, cardboard. Now I know tires is a whole other separate issue, but what are the other?
Yeah, tires, tins, cans, drums, and general trash compaction. Paying to have fresh air hauled around the US is an expensive hobby.
Okay, right, very expensive. Well, this discussion's been very enlightening for me, because it tells me it's really, waste is not just about waste. It's about so many other facets, and this has been great to have you on, and I thank you.
Thank you very much.
And to our counselor from the Danish Embassy, we're going to watch Denmark move forward, as I have been watching your country, and I'm really very impressed with what you all have done. For a small country and a population of, what, 5.3 million?
Yeah.
People, you have a tremendous amount of export technology, and as I said, congratulations to your government and to your embassy. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And with that, I'm going to say in Danish, good net. Did I say that right?
Almost.
And to my viewers, I say good net in Danish, and you can watch us on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock and Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock, channel 16. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Packers, Vikings,
Red State, Blue State.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
But when we live united, we create real lasting change in the education, income, and health of our country. Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.